Okay, hey everybody, and welcome to Chiu Stream, where we talk about art and life as an artist. I'm your host, Bobby Chiu, and I have a very special guest, one of my good buddies on here. He created Nico and the Sword of Light, the Emmy-winning TV show with yours truly, as well as with Chaos Dara and Adam Jeffcoat. Who am I talking about here? I'm talking about the one and only Jim BRYSON. Say hi, Jim.
What's up?
Right on. So Jim came by the studio today, and we were recording some really cool stuff for a Kickstarter thing that we're doing. It'll be coming out. It'll come out shortly. Maybe I could find a little commercial for. I can't find it. But okay, what we've been doing is we've been doing just a. How do you kind of describe it? How do you describe what we do to your friends? The JimBob drawing show.
It's a drawing show.
Okay, it's a drawing show, and we
draw pictures and we record it. I draw, you paint.
Yes, and it's just for fun.
Yeah.
And we are headed towards our 1-year anniversary of the JimBob drawing show. Can't believe it's been already almost a year.
I know. It's crazy. We took all the drawings, we laid them all out, and it was crazy how many.
It's a giant pile. So what we're going to be doing very soon is we thought 1-year anniversary of the JimBob drawing show. Let's make an art book of it. And nowadays, it's kind of like, if you're going to make an art book, you got to put it on Kickstarter. So that's what we're doing. That's why Jim was over here. So we get 2 people that you could ask questions to today. Myself and the one and only Jim BRYSON. So if you do have a question, this is live and interactive. If you're catching this live right now, we are listening. So all you need to do is type in your question into the chat in big capital letters first. You want to write the word question in big capital letters, and then write your question afterwards, okay? And then we'll answer as many as we can. Otherwise, we're just going to chat. We're going to hang out and just chat, because that's what we do anyways. So
might as well record it.
Yeah, and since I have you on, that's what I love about these streams, is like, even if I have a friend on here that I've known for 20 years? Close to 20 years?
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty darn close.
It is close to 20 years.
I've still never actually kind of sat down and asked you a whole bunch of questions. So I want to ask you first about what you think about style. Style is a thing that I'm sure when you're in high school or when you're in college especially, you were really concerned about developing your style.
Yeah.
Generally, everybody is.
Yeah. I remember that being a big deal, in college, who has the coolest style and everything, and being very into that. Now I don't really think about it. I just kind of try and do stuff that I think is interesting, and
that's what I want to ask you. Did you actually look for the style that you've developed thus far?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it comes out. Sometimes I'll do something and I'll be like, wait, that looks like this. That looks like that. But I never really set out to do any sort of style. It's always more like you want to try and convey some sort of a mood or some sort of a feeling or some, capture whatever it is, emotion, if it's supposed to be a fun drawing, you want to make it energetic and fun and lots of movement and stuff. And then sometimes I'll look at it and I'll go, kind of reminds me of Calvin and Hobbes or something, or I
loved Calvin and Hobbes. I still do. It's so sorry, don't want to get off the topic, because I love Calvin and Hobbes so much. It was such a big influence.
Yeah.
It looks deceivingly simple.
Oh yeah.
But when you actually try to sketch it out and stuff, you then realize the genius of the drawings.
Yeah, I remember that guy saying something about his process, Bill Watterson, saying he tries not to plan his drawings too much, so he'll do a loose planning of the composition, and then he'll just draw over top. And I guess that's something I've taken. I've taken that. I think style is just stealing
Trying not to plan
lots of stuff. Yeah.
That's what you took.
Try not to plan anything out.
Well, we have a question. Let's see where the questions. I don't know who asked this question. We will try to copy the usernames of the people that are asking the questions. But the first question is, do you have any strategy to remain focused and on point during long study sessions? That's a good one.
Coffee.
Coffee? That's it? As simple as that?
Get a good night's sleep.
Okay. But, okay, you work at home, right? From the comfort of your own home.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have a little one, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a little baby boy that has learned to talk and communicate now, so you can't just ignore him.
You gotta have a good door on your office.
Okay. So you got all these distractions. Or do you? Like, how do you deal with all these distractions?
So during the day, no one's home. So during the day, it's very quiet. And actually, I prefer... I have trouble working in, like, an office with lots of people and being social and working. So I like to just be locked away in my office with no one around.
I see.
And then they ask, like, for a long study session. I don't like to focus for more than, like, an hour and a half max.
Right.
And then take a break.
I can't really stay focused on like everybody thinks that I'm just nonstop working. I kind of am, but like you kind of saw a little bit of my schedule today. It's bonkers, and that's how I stay so kind of concentrating on things because I know I only have a certain amount of time before the next thing.
Yeah, I think that's good. Like setting yourself up where you have to get something done forces you to get it done. If you have all the time in the world, you'll just sort of sit there and daydream and kind of be like, how do I make this the best thing ever? And then it just never happens.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, this is a question from Silbu A, so thank you, Silbu A. What else do we do there to kind of stay focused? Generally, well, here's a big one that nobody really talks about too much. You gotta pick the right projects too, right? If you are on a bad job,
yeah,
it's way harder to stay focused.
Yeah, it's hard if you're not into what you're doing.
If it's an exciting job, it's like, how do you not stay focused? How do you like leave the table and go home? That's my thing. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, that's a good first question. Let's go on to the next question. Jacob the Wells asks, could you talk a bit more about what it's like to create a Kickstarter for art books? That's a really good one. We've done a few Kickstarters. We did one for Nico and the Sword of Light, the animated comic book app that came with an art book.
Yeah.
And then recently, Masay and I, we did a kind of like 2 art book combo, Unusual Unicorns, which is, I'm actually, in the video, I'm painting and drawing one of the commissions that are going out. And this actually just happened like yesterday or something like that, that I painted this commission, or I drew this commission. Oh, actually, it's from a little while ago. Anyways, it's recent. So tips on what to kind of look out for.
Keep it simple.
Yes. That's a big one.
It's so hard to keep it simple with all the rewards and all the fulfillments and all the options.
And that's generally, I would say, general blanket statement that is true for big projects in general. You can start off with a very simple idea and then it spider webs into this giant mess of a thing.
Yeah.
Even with stories as well. Stories, a lot of times we start a story, we keep it simple, and then it just spider webs into this giant thing. It gets too complex. So that's something else that you really, really want to look out for. And plan, especially the details. Down to the point where it's like, okay, so I got the books delivered to my studio. Okay, now what kind of shoes am I going to wear today? I think about those kind of things on purpose. I think about them because, hey, maybe 40% you don't even need, maybe 80% you don't even need, but then the 20% is like, go to the mail office and weigh the book before you consider shipping costs.
I was just going to say that, like, go buy the packaging, because, like, you might say, like, okay, the book is 8.5 by 11. Okay, I'll go see how much that costs. But then once you get it all packed up, the thing might be, like, twice the size, and now you're, like, you only budgeted for a certain amount for, like, the shipping costs, like, usually get people.
Ask the post office, where is the most expensive place to ship? You know, for me, that's like South Africa, that's like Australia. You want to know those quotes as well because, hey, people are going to buy stuff from South Africa or from Australia or whatever, and you want to be able to give them accurate quotes. You don't want to have to lose money on your Kickstarter. So I've heard that happening to some people where they made like tens of thousands of dollars, but they actually lost like $10,000 in the end.
Because they had to pay to ship it. Yeah.
What else is there? You got any others? Well, stretch goals. So like plan for your success. Right? Like, don't wait until you hit your goal before you start thinking about a stretch goal.
Yeah, think about that ahead of time.
It's like plan for failure and success. That's what I like to do. So I'm like ready for either.
And try and finish stuff that you can finish beforehand. Like if you're going to do a book, just the book should be done, right? Before you launch it if possible.
Yeah. Our last one, Unusual Unicorns and Kin was the other book. We finished the book. Yeah, it was ready to go. And we were already talking to printers as we're making a Kickstarter. Kickstarter is really good for marketing. But generally, people don't want to wait like a year to get their book. Mm-hmm. You know, so most of the people that bought into the last Kickstarter, the Unicorns, Unusual Unicorns and Kin book, they already got their books. The only ones that really haven't are the ones that are waiting for their special rewards, which... By the way, a person out there, this is your commission, so you get to kind of have it, I don't know if it's like immortalized on my YouTube channel, if that's like too big of a word.
You can hold it in your hands and then watch it being made at the same time.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So it makes it pretty cool, I think.
One other thing is, I think people maybe don't consider this too, is like all the like graphics and like video, like Kickstarter graphics that you have to make to like sort of explain what people are getting. That's pretty time consuming.
It is. So not too many choices, because say you succeed and you have 5,000 people backing your stuff. So you're really loving it. Mm-hmm. That means you're going to have a community of 5,000 people that potentially could ask you some questions. Mm-hmm. And if your stuff is asking for questions to be asked, oh my goodness, you're going to have a full-time job for the next bunch of months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so usually what happens is you'll have items in your list which are like say around like between $25 and $50, and those are usually the ones that most people buy. If that one has like no options, like just it's straightforward, then the options you give to the ones that only have like one or two backers, because that's more manageable. If you have 500 people telling you all different stuff, you're going to go crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if it's true. I'm pretty sure it's true. Steven Silver told me this one. One of his friends, I probably shouldn't even say the guy's name, because he made a Kickstarter. He's quite well known for being a creator. Made a Kickstarter and had like one of his pledges was a sketch in the book that he was selling, which is normal. That's fine. But he didn't put a cap on it. He didn't put a limit on it. So he had, hundreds to do.
Oh, no.
Now, if you're thinking you want to be good to your people that are pledging, like this one commission for this one person, is taking me more than an hour to do, that you're seeing painted right now. Imagine that's hundreds, 500, 600 times over. You know how long it takes to do 500 hours of work?
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, that's crazy, crazy rough. And half the time when you're actually working, it's like you're walking from one place to the other, you're looking at emails, you're doing whatever. This is 500 hours of drawing time. That's like 700
Those drawings
hours.
are going to get like simpler and simpler like as he's going through it.
Yeah. And that's what I didn't want, right? So I limited my commissions to very little. I think it was like 5 every 2 months, and it only lasts to the end of the year. So right now, the commission that I'm doing is for like September, October, or something like that. So you don't want to have a million commissions. It'll take you forever. Anyways, why don't we go on to the next question, because I think we gave Cell Blue quite a few little options there. Or, sorry, that was Jacob the Wells. Next person. Thea asks, what is a good way to practice composition? Well, if you actually look in my YouTube channel and search the word composition, I actually have a really nice exercise for people to practice composition. So that's a super simple answer to a nice, short, clean
Draw small
question. Right on. Draw small. I like that.
I had a friend of mine when we were in college, and we had a lot of assignments where you had to do these really intricate layouts. Like everyone wanted to do their best job, and they'd have lots of detail and stuff. And people would spend days on these drawings of like background environment designs. And our friend Charles showed me this. He's like, dude, you just draw it like a 2 inches by 1 inch, like super small, and then you just go over the photocopier and just whoosh, blow it up, trace over top. Did it in like an hour.
Wow, genius.
Like, dude.
You know what? I have a friend he's a storyboard artist. He's a story guy. And before he was working in television. Television storyboarding can get really intense in terms of like churning out enough stuff. And he was on a show where like the demand was so high, it was like virtually impossible to meet. So what he did was he got the templates and shrunk them all down in the photocopier, right? Like to like 1/3 the size. And he just did them super quick. And he was the only person that could meet the quota. And everybody was like upset at him because he was the one meeting the quota and everybody else wasn't, right?
They couldn't figure out his secret.
Yeah.
Pencil mileage.
That's a big one. And I've noticed Kay a lot of times, Kay Asadera, she'll paint a little zoomed out. Right? So like she has this giant, beautiful Cintiq monitor, but then she only paints like in a little small thing. There you go. Let's go on to the next one here. Marsa says, any advice for creature silhouettes? Well, I think this is a good one for both of us because we both like to draw creatures. If it's readable, I think that's a pretty easy kind of general answer that we can give to all kind of creatures. Unless there's certain creatures where it's like you don't want to really know what it's about yet. Right? And you just maybe you want to see a hint of something in the silhouette. Yeah.
I mean, it depends. Yeah, like if you want it to be a clear read, that'll be a certain silhouette. And then if you want it to sort of be hidden, you'll be a different kind of silhouette.
Yeah.
But I guess just the idea of thinking about the silhouette is really the sort of the key to like making it read. So
I did want to go back to Fia's question about practicing composition. I did want to mention Nathan Fowkes, one of my artistic heroes. He teaches a fantastic course on Schoolism all about understanding and learning how to do awesome compositions. And he's much better at it than I am, for sure. So that's a no-brainer as well. Why don't we go on to Nanachi? Nanachi asks, how should I start a new project? Now, this one we kind of touched on a little bit. Like, you want to be aware that you want to keep the idea simple as long as you can. Right? And, we both pitched stuff before as well. When we're pitching stuff, if you don't have like an appointment kind of thing, if you're just meeting them at an event or something, you want to be able to have like a 1-sentence description that really captures, what's interesting about it.
Keep
the
it
elevator
short.
pitch. Yeah.
Keep it short.
Yeah, we were talking about that at lunch a little bit. How things can totally spider out into.
Because if you're excited about something, you want to like go into great detail, but it's just the other person is not on the same level as you're into it. They don't know anything about it. So you need to just give them a very short sort of description, and then if they want more, you can go into more detail, but keep it short.
It's so easy to make things more complex. The harder part is to make things short, right? So, like, I believe the elevator pitch that I would give for Nico and the Sword of Light was this boy that's meant to grow up to become the protector of the world needs to do it now. Something happens and he needs to do it right now, but he's only 10.
Mine would be boy has sword, fights monsters.
Nice.
That's what I tell people now.
All right, so why don't we go on to the next question, because there's a lot of really good questions here. Dai asks, how many pieces of work would you suggest putting into a character art portfolio? Do you have a portfolio?
Not really.
Not for a while.
I've made lots of portfolios. I think it completely depends on what you're trying to get. So if you're trying to get a character art portfolio for, say you want a job in animation, you're going to want to show that you can move your character around, so you might put model sheets. If you want a job doing concept design, you might want to figure out what kind of show they're trying to make and then put in some beautiful concepts that look like what they're trying to make.
Did you ever tailor a portfolio towards a certain job?
I would only, like, if I was applying for a job, I would make a new portfolio specifically for that job. I would never use the same portfolio for 2 different companies, or even the same company if it was a different show, because all they care about is this look like what I need? Yes or no? No, it goes in the garbage. Yes, maybe they talk to you more.
Yeah, I feel like, I'm so glad that you kind of brought that up, because I feel like there's 2 different thoughts to this, as well as character design. Some people, it's all about volume. It's like these, I kind of equate it to like they're holding a shotgun going hunting, right? They're trying to shoot a whole bunch of pellets and hopefully it hits something, which is the equivalent of getting your general portfolio and shopping it all around. Then there's the snipers, right? And that's how I kind of see how I like to work, is I like to pick my target and really study my target and aim just for that target. Same with actually doing jobs. I don't try to give this giant volume of all these choices, but instead I would give very, very targeted, designs that really reflect exactly what the director or the producer or the writer was talking about when we had our orientation.
Yeah, I mean, the more thought you put into it, I think that's what they're expecting, is that you've put thought into what they want.
Yeah. You know, not every, not like, it's not like the more volume, the better. I think the best kind of experience for me, it wouldn't be to get all of these different images and 80% of them are like not even close. I would rather get a whole bunch of images from the artist where it's like, I don't know what to choose because they're all so good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we tend to aim for. But I've seen both work.
I was listening to the one of my favorite comedians, Norm Macdonald, was telling this story about how his first job he got writing for a TV show. They offered him, or they said, you know, submit your jokes, and it was like his big break, right? And so, you know, all these other comedians submitted like a portfolio just with like tons of, like, hundreds of jokes, right? And he toiled over it like for days and days and days, and then finally he gave in his portfolio to them. And the guy opened it up. There's one joke. He just gave them one joke.
Wow.
And just, it was a good joke, but he said, like, he got the job just from the audacity of, like, handing in one joke. Because, like, no one's ever done that before. It's just, like, insane.
He is such a unique human being.
I know.
It's like, how many people can actually get people to laugh because of how crappy the joke is sometimes? You know what I mean?
I know.
He'll say these jokes where it's like this long setup and everything, and at the end it's not even funny, but the way that, I don't know.
I've heard
That's
he goes
special.
on stage and bombs on purpose because he thinks it's funny.
Yes.
To bomb.
I've heard that too.
It's awesome.
Why don't we go on to another question here? Let's see here. So, Manekoko asks, do you have any tips and tricks on how to make it to the 1 year anniversary of doing a project? Like the JimBob drawing show, I guess. You know? So you get, biggest tip is set priorities onto things that you truly care about. Too many of us set priorities onto things that need to be done in a hurry or have a serious deadline, but they don't put any kind of like priority or deadline onto things that are important but that don't actually need a deadline.
Things that aren't immediately critical.
Like people that keep exercising are the ones that have it scheduled. Like, I always go to the gym at this time, generally, right? They can break that every once in a while and so on and so forth. But
I mean, I think the thing, like, I was shocked the most about is that, like, it's only one drawing per week, but, like, the fact that I had to do it every single week, and then when the year is over, spreading out all those drawings, like, it's an insane amount of work. But it's really, like, you have to be consistent, right? Like, I think that's, like, a huge difference.
Yeah, like you've created a stack of drawings from just 1 year.
I mean, you have the same stack of paintings, you know, on the computer. So it's crazy. Like, when you spread them all out, it's like, what?
Yeah, I'm like that kind of person that likes to do stuff, and then see kind of like the collection of all the stuff that I've done. Like eating sunflower seeds. I don't crack one open and eat it. I crack one open and like I put the little seed in a little corner. Right?
Save the seeds.
Yeah, developing a pile. You know, I like doing that kind of stuff. Why don't we go on to another question here? Yeah, let's go up back to the top here. Richard asks, how many hours of sleep do you get every night? For me, after a all day working in the animation industry, gym workout, my body and brain are drained. Any advice on this? Yeah, you know, I put out this video in the beginning of the week, I believe, and it was like talking about the 1% door. Like, you want to do stuff that you want to go through the door that the top 1% keep going through. Not the 99%. So, in other words, you want to make these other choices that these other guys are doing, like exercising or drawing every day at least a little bit and stuff like that. And a lot of people, they wrote like, but you need sleep, but you need to rest. Yeah, you know what? I rest. That's part of it. You got to work and you got to rest, or else it's not going to go well. So I sleep like 7 or 8 hours a night. What about you?
Same. I sleep like, yeah, same thing. It's a little bit less in the summertime. I don't need to sleep as much in the summer for some reason, but yeah, like 7, 8 hours.
So, you know, your little guy, Luke, he's still a tiny toddler, right? Or not
right,
even.
Yeah. So
right?
every day at, about 4:30, 5 o'clock, I got to quit because, once he gets home, it's only a couple of hours before he goes to sleep. So
yeah. So what I wanted to ask you was like, a lot of friends that have kids, they talk about, oh man, if I didn't have a kid right now and I knew the things I knew about saving time and like making time efficient, man, I would be doing twice the work that I did before. So what kind of things do you do differently now so that you can still get in all that work?
Well, I mean, we were talking about it earlier, and like one of those things is like you have to like you have to say, okay, during 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I have to do this. And then from 10 a.m. to 11 I have this to do. Like, if I was Calvin, I would do like what one of my friends does, Matt Kassan, who we went to school with. He takes the bus to work every day. He has a sketchbook full of drawings just from being on the bus on the way to work and on the way home. Like tons of drawings. Like he posts drawings like all the time. And like, if you work it into like your day, you don't have to stay up at night because that's not sustainable.
I'll give you a funny tip. Don't work your hardest. What? What does that mean? Well, think about it like this. If you work your hardest all the time, so say the thing that you're working on right now is running, right? You're going to run your hardest, your longest, whatever. Will you be able to do the same tomorrow? No, you can't. So say you ran 2 miles today, whatever, top speed the whole entire time, just sprinting the whole entire time, and now you're dead, right?
Yeah, you can't walk for 2 weeks.
Yeah, you can't walk for at least a few days. But then say 70%, 80% of your absolute potential is like you can run for 3/4 of a mile, just hardcore sprinting or whatever, as fast as you can. Well, tomorrow you can do it again. And day after you could do it again. So after 3 days, you would have ran, over 2 miles.
Exactly, yeah.
Instead of going at your absolute potential the very first day and having to rest and being kind of burnt out the next 2 days. Right? And you would have only ran 2 miles.
Yeah.
So if my math is correct, you got like 70, 80% of your absolute potential. Then you can keep going all the time and you're going to produce way more. That's what I found anyways. I have a very balanced life that people, they think I'm working all the time. No, but I'm doing like 70 or 80% of my absolute potential so I can keep doing it every day.
Smaller things more often and just consistent.
Yes. However, yeah. So like one of the things that you want to take into mind, Richard, is a key ingredient of success and all that stuff is discipline. You want to practice it every day. And that also means resting, because some people, they're not disciplined in resting, but they're very disciplined in just working hard all the time. They have a hard time switching it off, right? And the other part to it is to work at 70 or 80% of your true potential. Now, I keep saying true potential because half of the people, or more than half the people, especially the younger people that are starting off, they don't know their true potential. They think 100% is actually like it's not even 100%. You know, in real life, it's like 60% of what they can do. It's like once they get a little bit tired. So you just want to make sure that it's your absolute true potential, and then dial it down a little bit so it's nice and balanced.
Yeah, try and make stuff easier for yourself. Life hacks.
Life hacks. There you go.
Should have art hacks.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Do you
Like
have
little
do you have
tricks.
any good art hacks that you can think of right now?
I mean, let me think. Oh my gosh. I gotta come up with something on the spot.
Well, I'll start with one. You know, I have a lot of stuff to do every day, a lot of meetings, a lot of whatever. So I want to do a lot of drawing. So then I did this Kickstarter. I had a commission kind of pledge where I would have to do these paintings, right? Mm-hmm. So then I kind of forced myself to do the stuff that I wanted to do, that I don't really need to do, right? And then I recorded a video of it. And now I'm playing it here. So I'm doubling things up all the time. I'm always trying to double things up. And as we're doing this stream, I was able to tell you about this Kickstarter that we're going to be doing later on, and so on and so forth. So it's always like doubling things up. That's a really handy one.
I got one. I just thought of it. Anytime I have a list of things I have to do, like let's say I can knock off like 5 drawings of whatever, character designs, whatever it is, and then I'm done. I will always look at the next few so they're in my head, so that like if I have to go do other things, that I'm sort of thinking about them. So then when I go to sit down the next time to finish the list, I've already got 3 ideas, so I don't have to waste time thinking about it.
That's pretty good. I like that. Let's go on to the next question. Calvin asks, what's the best experience for a hobbyist animator who would like to go on to create his own series one day? Currently, I have only worked as an illustrator and character artist. So what's the best experience for a hobbyist animator to create his own series one day? I kind of feel like if you haven't done it before, you want to really start soaking in info about story, about pitching, about styles of art and things like that. Like what can be a nice style, but also a realistic style that you can do for a series. For example, like I know Nico, we did it. It's awesome. It looks great. But that series, there's a lot of pencil mileage, right? So if it was like crazy complex, then all of a sudden you have to sacrifice certain things like animation, perhaps. Or the studio might go, we can't do this. This is way too complex, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you think that's a factor?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest things with that, with Nico, is like it's visually. It's visually very like cinematic, appealing, all that stuff. We wanted to make it look like feature animation as a TV show. But if I was because whenever a studio wants to make a show, they don't really what they care about most is the story. So if I was someone that was a hobbyist or had an idea for a story, I would try and tell it in the most simplest possible way. So maybe just like a YouTube, like just make it yourself, put it out there and see what happens. If people like it, they'll.
I love that idea. And I feel like that's the trend nowadays. You got all these executives looking at YouTube, and going, this Angry Orange thing has like 5 million subscribers. You know what? That could be a show. You know what? The truth is, anything can be a show, can't it? Like Angry Birds, for example. You play the video game, you play the handheld game, you're like, this isn't a show, this isn't a story. But it's so popular that it got made into a movie.
Yeah, if no one knew what that game was and you went into a studio and you pitched Angry Birds and no one ever heard of it, it wouldn't get made.
Yeah. And it turned out to be a pretty good movie too. Same with like Pirates of the Caribbean. That's just a ride.
And is that what it's based on?
Yeah, a Disney ride, right? A Disney World ride. And it became a giant universe of like pirate world and stuff like that. And it's a very successful franchise. And I loved many of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, especially the one with Davy Jones.
I didn't see any of them.
You didn't see none?
No, I didn't see any of them.
Okay, well, it's good. That should be on your list of stuff to check out.
I'll watch it.
Yeah. Why don't we go on to another question? You want to read a question?
Sure. Izel Munches writes, I am about to start my comic. I've done a few scripts and a few developments. Any advice?
I think we went over a lot of that stuff with like pitching and starting your own idea. But is there anything that we haven't covered?
Yeah, I would just say keep it simple and get it done.
Yeah, just keep moving forward.
Okay, let's try. Next one has to do with sleep. We already talked about that. Okay, Matt C. writes, what do you see yourselves doing in the next 5 years?
Oh, that's a good one. Are you the type to plan that far ahead?
Not 5 years. Not 5 years.
I planned 5 years and 10 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it.
I don't know if I want to say them, though. Because the reason is because, like...
You don't want to jinx it?
I'd rather do it than talk about doing it. Mm-hmm. I don't like talking about doing something that I'm going to do unless I absolutely have to, or if I know absolutely guaranteed that's what I'm going to do. But, next 5 years, let me see the things that I'm okay with saying. I'm okay with saying that I want to create a wonderful, positive event that would be like the biggest of its kind, where all the artists and especially the top artists in the world would come together, hang out, be appreciated, and just have this wonderful kind of gathering where we can all kind of get to know each other and hang out. That's what I like to do. Yeah. I used to go to an event in LA that I'm no longer going to, and I haven't heard good things. And then Comic-Con, it's awesome. I love Comic-Con, but it's different, because it's much more focused around movies, right? And like properties, as opposed to
it's not really
artists.
About comics anymore or art as much.
Yeah, it's totally not. Let's go on to the next question here. So the next question says, from Sean, what's a good way to form ideas for your drawings? Oh, I got a good one here. So I believe this was something that I heard Ed Sheeran say.
Okay.
He said, when you're in kind of like maybe more of a rural area or something like that, you turn on the tap water and it's brown first or something. You got to wait a little bit before it becomes clear. Same thing with creativity. Just start drawing and expect the brown water to come out first and just keep going, because you keep that tap on long enough and the clean, crisp water will come out after.
Yeah, especially if you don't draw every day. Like I remember I don't know, I always have these stories about comedians for some reason, but
sure, let's hear it.
I remember Jerry Seinfeld used to say that every day that he would write jokes, he would put an X on his calendar. And it became like a game to him of collecting these X's. He didn't want to see a day where there was no X, because as soon as you stop being creative, like say you go on vacation or something, once you get back, man, there's that brown water. It takes a while to get those bad drawings out, bad ideas.
It does. Definitely. So, expect the brown water, but know that the clean, crisp
eventually the
water
clear
will come
water
after that. Yeah.
will come.
All right. So Gene asks, is the sci-fi schoolism course coming out? Well, we are working on a sci-fi schoolism course. I don't think I even announced it yet. There's a couple really crazy high-level artists that are working on some schoolism courses. However, the reason why I'm always reluctant to talk about them is because, like, generally every schoolism instructor is crazy busy, very high in demand. That's why we want them to teach everybody. That's why I want to learn from them as well. So no guarantees on when it would come out, but one of the people that I've asked to work on a schoolism course is Stefan Martinier, who, for those of you that don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel movies, The Fifth Element.
Wow.
Like, dude goes back, right? And knows a heck of a lot about sci-fi and like sci-fi worlds. The other person is another crazy high-level artist, David Levy. So David, he worked on the next upcoming Avatar movies, Star Wars movies, worked with Steven Spielberg, James Cameron, Ridley Scott, like all the big names. That is going to be an amazing course if it comes out, it should come out. I have a lot of patience, but who knows when it'll come out. Like Craig Mullins, he took like 13 years before his...
He was working on his schoolism course for 13 years.
No, but it's like they stop and go. They're working on it, and then all of a sudden James Cameron calls. And it's like, what are you going to do? Work on a schoolism course or work on James
Drop
Cameron?
everything.
Pretty much. Next one, Jab. How do you like your workspace? Clean or full of stimulation of any kind? What's your workspace like?
Piles of mess and papers and...
On purpose?
Not on purpose, but anytime my desk is super messy and like disorganized, it means I've been doing a lot of work. So I'm happy with my office messy. When my office is clean, it means I'm like putting off doing artwork.
I don't like a messy space, but I got a messy space. So there you go. You know what I like, though? I like having a big wall that I could post stuff all over. Now my space, it has a lot of this kind of...
the soundproofing.
Yeah, soundproofing and stuff, so I can't hang as many pictures. This is the only wall back here that doesn't have the soundproofing.
I like to have a whiteboard that I can just draw on and then erase and draw.
Really?
I like drawing on whiteboards.
Huh. But then you don't get to keep it.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like the brown water thing, right? Like get all your brown water out on the whiteboard.
All right. Well, let's go on to the next question. Velveteen Artist asks, are you guys working on any new courses for schoolism, and will they be available for people on yearly subscriptions, or will you have to purchase any possible new courses separately? Okay, so Velveteen Artist, yes, we are working on numerous schoolism courses all the time, but like I said, it's like a lot of times it's stop and go. Andrea Blasic, he's been on he's done 8 lessons for such a long time, but he keeps getting pulled off to do other jobs. He just has one more lesson to do. I've been working on a course, but I've been stuck on lesson 6 for ever. So there's courses coming. However, this is how schoolism subscriptions work. Yearly subscriptions, the monthly subscriptions, it's the same thing, okay? You can watch every course. It's that simple. If a new course comes on, it's like Netflix. It's a new show. Now you can watch it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, it's highly recommended. All the big studios, there's always at least multiple people that have a schoolism subscription because of the level of teachers that we have. It's very much geared towards professionals, not just beginner artists, but professionals as well. You pay a monthly subscription fee. It's usually about $30 a month, and then you could watch whatever you want, learn assignments, download them. Or the yearly subscription, that's like $300, and you can get that, and then all of a sudden you don't have to worry about paying for education for a whole entire year. So it's a really good deal. Let's go on to the next thing here. Shatayu Gote asks, will we ever get an animation course on schoolism? Never say never. We do have this one artist that would really love to teach animation on schoolism. But of course, he's a very sought after animator and artist and filmmaker, and he's an Oscar nominated guy as well. So very high in demand, very hard to get to pin down to do these things.
Eventually.
Yes. Mai Nguyen asks, do you have any advice for a creature designer? Well, it doesn't have to just be a question for me. It could be a question for you as well. Learn as many styles and techniques as you can, even if it's how to do the same thing 7 different ways. That's very important for any kind of designer or any kind of artist.
Go to the zoo.
Yeah. Learn about real creatures. Did you do that?
Mm-hmm. I remember you used to do that.
Yeah, I spent a whole summer, like 10 hours a day.
That's crazy.
A whole entire summer. I would go to the zoo, and I would just go to these one the mandrill? Yeah, mandrill. I don't know how to pronounce it. Mandrill?
I think
monkeys?
So. I think so,
yeah. The ones with the blue and red muzzles, right? And just sat there every stinking day. My mom would drop me off before she went for work, and then I was stuck there.
That's so good. Yeah, you had no escape because you can't. Yeah. Like the Toronto Zoo is like there's nothing near it. You have to drive there. You couldn't walk. There was no Uber back then.
Yeah, and it was really cool because something really special happens when it's like you go every day. Like those monkeys, they knew me.
Oh yeah.
And they would treat me different than the other people.
Really?
Yeah. Like they would come over, they'd hang out, right by the glass or whatever, and then people start coming in, and then they leave. They go out into distance, and then they would turn their backs.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
They befriended you.
I think I got accepted.
Yeah.
All right. So doodle dealers. Let's go to doodle dealers.
That's
great
a cool
questions,
name.
By the way, everybody. It just keeps coming in. Holy smokes. It's nonstop. Doodle Dealers asks, any advice for someone who is afraid to specialize because they feel equally passionate about 2 separate career paths and don't want the other one to fall to the background? Now, you do many different things. You have animated, you storyboard, you design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done different things. For me, I don't like to just do one thing. I'm not sure what things they're talking about, but like say you like to draw characters. Like I used to not like drawing backgrounds as much, but if you want to tell a story, you got to be able to draw a background. So I think you should try and do as many things as you can. I guess specializing has more to do with getting a job. But I think if you're an artist, you want to try and do things that interest you. So I say keep doing both.
It's good advice from somebody that's doing it. So why don't we go on to the next question here? Oops. Where am I going with this? Next question. Let's go to let's go to this one. Libby Reed asks, do you ever feel envious of other artists? And if so, how do you deal with it? I do.
Do you?
Yeah, sometimes. Like, I'm pretty well balanced, but if I had to really think about it, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
You know what times? It's when I see the premieres all over their Instagrams, like, oh, they're at the Iron Man whatever premiere,
Okay.
or like the Spider-Man premiere. I'm like, dang, that looks super cool. Or, yeah, it's generally premieres, like Pixar premieres, Disney premieres, and, it's like, well, I worked on, movies from these different studios. I've only gone to like one premiere, and it wasn't cool. It wasn't like really decked out or anything.
It wasn't as fun as it seemed.
Yeah, it was a big waste of my time. Or not totally. I'm thankful for my opportunities, but in the grand scheme of things, compared to other premieres, like none of the stars came, the director didn't come. I guess they didn't really feel the movie. I don't think they had a very good experience making the movie, perhaps, and then so they didn't show up. Yeah.
What about skill-wise? Like, do you ever look at people's work and go, "Oh man," like sometimes I look at people's work, like I'm really envious of people that can do like really good technical like illustration, like the perspective and everything's all perfect, and like they just freehand all this stuff, and it's like, how do you?
But is it like you feel envious, or do you feel inspired?
I guess inspired. I don't think I ever really feel envy.
Yeah, like stay in your lane. It's great to check out other things, be inspired, but stay in your lane. Don't be competitive unless it's with yourself, right? And just try to be creative. I think that's the big kind of takeaway, is just try to be as creative as possible. Try to be as competitive as little as possible, unless it's with yourself, which in that case, be extremely competitive with yourself.
Because if you really like enjoy, like the reason you probably got started in art is because you enjoy seeing good art. So if you see someone creating good art, wouldn't you enjoy that and not be like envious? Like it seems like envy is the wrong response, right?
Yeah, a lot of times it just makes me want to try it.
Yeah, it's like, wow, that's cool. You can do that.
I think that's a big part of what made me want to be an artist in the first place, because I saw things I couldn't do, and I was like, oh, I want to try that. Why don't we go on to another question here, but some really great questions coming in. Let's see here. Let's go to Serene. Serene Z asks, when learning anatomy, do you suggest understanding the big shapes and general proportions first for figure drawing or something like that, or memorizing the placement and functions of the muscles and skeleton?
Maybe a bit of both.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's both. You want to learn how to draw the stuff, the pieces, and then you also want to learn how they work. But I would say if you are kind of like a person that doesn't want to do like anatomy heavy stuff, then it's far more important to learn the functions and the placement of muscles so that you can change that stuff, right? Like animated characters, you can have like what's it called, Wreck-It Ralph. His hands are as big as the little girl, pretty much, right? So proportions go out the window. But the function is still there, and you can tell that the person that is animating, or the people that are working on it, know and understand what the hand does, for example.
Oh, time's up.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.
See ya.
Hey Jimmy, so can you believe it's been almost a year since we've started the JimBob Drawing Show?
It's crazy, man. A whole year has gone by.
Tons of drawings, tons of paintings, so we decided to celebrate. We're gonna do a book. The first JimBob drawing show art book, and it's going to be super fun.
The book's going to be packed with tons of new artwork. There's concepts, there's character designs, there's alternate ideas, there's rough work, there's sketchbook stuff. We spent a year on this. There's so much stuff.
We've got prints, we've got originals. We're giving them away for your wonderful pledges. And you don't really sell originals ever.
No, that's why they're super valuable.
Well, they're definitely valuable for me and for many of the other people out there. So now's your chance to actually get an original from my man over here, Emmy Award winner, Jim Bryson. And for those of you that don't know what we've done in the past, we've been working in film, television for over 13 years now. Things like Alice in Wonderland, Men in Black 3, and our award-winning TV show, Nico and the Sword of Light on Amazon Prime. You can watch it today.
Yeah.
But don't watch it just yet, because we have a lot to tell you about our Kickstarter. So, in our Kickstarter, there's always things that people might worry about, things like that. But we want to let you know that we've done many Kickstarters before, raised over $700,000 in the multiple Kickstarters that we've done, and books. Imaginism Studios, my studio, we've done over 14 books, 15 books, something like that. So we're also very comfortable in that aspect as well.
It's a lot of books.
It is. So pledge today, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Subscribe to this channel and then press the notification button so you won't miss out on new videos, tutorials, interviews, and other news/advice for artists. If you like this channel, share it with the artists in your life. Thanks for watching.